morning and welcome to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial on North Shore 1049. My name is Marc Freedman. I'm President and CEO of Freedman Financial, located in Peabody, Massachusetts, right above Alto Forno and right across the street from the North Shore Mall, which is still a giant dirt lot. Mark Whiting, Mark Whiting is the general manager of the mall. I put out this call to you each and every week, hoping that you'll respond to us and find some time to make it on this radio show so that you can tell us about what's really going on over there. I mean, Lifetime Fitness is definitely a coming over at the mall. There's some restaurants it looks like they're opening up, and I'm sure that there's a lot more that's happening. But right now, all I see are a bunch of trucks moving back and forth, delivering a lot of dirt, and then pounding the dirt, and then bringing in more dirt, and then pounding the dirt. And I do have that bird's eye view from my office overlooking what's happening at the mall. And I'd like to get some new restaurants there. I really would, because I'm tired of the restaurants that have been there. People at Legal know me by name. I actually have, when I walk into Legal Seafood, they say, same table, Mark? Yep, it's the same table, and they actually know what I'm going to eat every time, too. So we've got to mix it up a little bit. It's time to do that. But here I am in the Treetop Studios here at North Shore 1049, overlooking the beautiful North Beverly train station, which happens to be pretty empty right now on this very Sunday morning. We are here from 8 to 9 a.m. each and every Sunday, providing you with financial advice in a language you can understand. And so I've got a bunch of different things to talk about today. I thought to start, we might talk a little bit about the kids. And college is starting back up. Kids are starting to head back to college, or thinking about it in the next few weeks. Tuition payments, they're coming due. And my own children, I've got Jerry, who's at University of Miami, and Alana, who's at University of Rhode Island. They'll be going back for their respective sophomore and senior year. I was just paying their tuition bill this past week, and I noticed something that I guess I've known before, but when I shared this story with a few people, they had no idea that they could make some adjustments to the tuition bill. And so I thought I'd share that piece of information with you. Then I also thought I would share this morning about what we call UTMA accounts. Maybe you've set up these things called custodial accounts for your children, or custodian accounts. Sometimes it has the expression, the acronym UTMA or UGMA. UTMA is Uniform Transfer to Minors Act. UGMA is Uniform Gift to Minors Act. And some people have these things also called a Guardian Roth IRA. Maybe you set up a Roth IRA for a child at some point. So some interesting stuff for you to know about here. There's some changes that are going on that might make you think a little bit differently about whether you want to set these accounts up. I still think you should, but let's just be sure that you understand the implications of everything. So let's first start with the tuition bill. So I was looking at Alana's tuition bill. It comes through for University of Rhode Island. Jerry's pretty much the same thing. You know, it talks about tuitions and fees and all that kind of stuff. And hey, on a side note, you've heard of the Abigail Adams Scholarship that is offered to students that do well in the MCAS exams. If you do well in your MCAS and you get, I think, proficient or better for, I think, the last 2 or 3 years, you're entitled to, get this, free tuition at any Massachusetts state school. That's a big deal, I mean, right? Free tuition. When we talk about tuition, free tuition, big deal. So all of my kids have qualified for the Abigail Adams Scholarship. Interestingly, none of them have chosen to go to a state school. That's a whole other story. But I wanted to look to see, well, how much is that tuition really worth? How much is it worth? At University of Massachusetts, where we are, the total cost for tuition, room, and board is roughly $24,000, of which $14,000 is tuition and fees. The other balance is room and board. So I decided to look, I said, wow, you know, $14,000, that's a pretty sweet deal. Sweet deal for you to be able to get, if you do well in your MCAS exams of proficient or better, you could get a free scholarship, free tuition. So I thought $14,000, and I looked at the itemization of what tuitions and fees are at UMass, and you can do this yourself, whether it's Bridgewater State, whether it's Salem State, whether it's UMass, whether it's Lowell, I don't care which school you look at. Go where it says tuitions and fees and then hit the itemization button and find out of that $14,000, what of that $14,000 actually is tuition. You're not going to be happy. It's about $1,500. The rest is fees. I see my producer here trying to search this right now. You seeing anything differently there, Jay? No, he's not seeing anything different. I'm telling you, folks, it's about $1,500 that goes to tuition. The rest is athletic fees, locker fee. I don't know, whatever all those fees are. It's crazy. So, yes, congratulations. I'm very proud of your student for qualifying for this scholarship. But it's not the $14,000. It's not $25,000. It might be $1,500, $1,400. That's all it is. And it's a little bit different for each of the state schools, so you got to figure out which state school they're going to.
Yeah, the exact costs are $1,714 at Amherst, $1,714 at Boston, $1,417 at Dartmouth, and $1,454 at Lowell.
And that's not 14,000, is it, Jay?
No,
No,
100.
It's a fraction of the cost. But what's fascinating to me, so I thought, what a ripoff. And then I thought to myself, well, let's start looking at some of the other state schools in other states. So I went to University of Maryland, a state school, because I know my kids were actually looking at University of Maryland at the time. They didn't go there. And so I thought, well, how do they break it down? They have tuition and fees, and then they have room and board. And if you look at tuition and fees at Maryland, 80% of that tuition and fees is allocated to tuition. So there's someone in Massachusetts that knew that they were going to try to play a little bit of a shell game to sell you on the idea of how important the MCAS test was so that you could qualify for a state scholarship, so that you would go to a Massachusetts state school and then surprise you after you go around yelling and screaming to your family, my kid got a free scholarship to UMass, worth $1,400 or $1,700. And welcome to Massachusetts, folks. Welcome to Massachusetts.
And a lot of the other state schools are even lower from there. It's like literally $900 is what you're getting for
the other state schools here in Massachusetts,
exactly.
right? Yeah. But you go outside of the state of Massachusetts, totally different story. It's one of those aha moments. So I did digress here a little bit because I was telling you about how I was going to pay Alana's tuition, and she's at University of Rhode Island. So no, I don't get in-state tuition for University of Rhode Island, unfortunately. But it is cheaper than Miami. Jerry's at Miami, and I think it's $65,000 a year for tuition, room, and board. Alana's only $44,000. But so we get her tuition bill for the semester. And one of the things that's built into the tuition is the cost of health insurance. And that's just a built-in price. You see the bottom at the number at the bottom, and you just pay that number. You can pay it on a 10-pay system. You can pay it on a one-time system, however you want. And I thought to myself, I wonder how many people don't realize that they don't need to pay the health insurance part of that semester's tuition bill if your child is on your health insurance. Most kids who are 18, 19, 20 are on their parents' health insurance. So why would you double pay for health insurance? Now, in the very small print at the bottom, it talks about the fact that if you do have health insurance, you can opt for a waiver and have that credited out. But how many people will actually do that? How many will actually read the small print? They just fixate on that number and they go, oh my God, how am I going to pay $20-some-odd thousand over the next 6 months? Because another bill's coming up for another $20,000 in 6 months. Folks, you've got to read the small print. And it was actually a form that Alana and I had to fill out. It came back a day or two later saying, no problem, the insurance amount has been waived. I just had to prove, or we had to prove, that she had insurance. But I think that is an overlooked number by a lot of folks, especially those who choose to make payments. I chose, because we've planned properly, I actually paid Alana's semester's tuition in full in August. I wrote the check for the $20-some-odd thousand. But many people set up a payment system. And when you're making payments, sometimes you don't look at the detail that's within your itemized bill to say, maybe I could get some of this credited. This is an important item, and an important conversation to have with your child, an important conversation to have with yourself and your own personal finances, as well as a conversation to have with the school or the university where your child might attend. Just because they send you a bill doesn't mean that there aren't numbers within that itemized bill that you can negotiate or perhaps even have waived if you're paying it through some other fashion. This is the time to be looking. Tuition bills are in your mailbox or online right now. It's funny, I mean, because my kids are over the age of 18, they get all the information about tuition. I had to ask Alana and Jerry, hey, did you guys get a tuition bill? And they said, I don't know. I said, did you get an email? They said, Dad, we don't look at email. They only look at text. So sure, they got emails. But if you went to their website within the school, you could see that the tuition bill is there. But I'm not getting it. They're getting it. They're adults. I get that. That's part of us lifting the helicopter a little further away from the kids and taking responsibility, but we still have to have that conversation. All right, I got lots more to share about UTMA and UGMA accounts and all of this money that we start to give to their kids and some changes that are in this path right now. And later on, we're going to talk about IRAs and how do you leave the beneficiaries appropriately so that you can avoid probate. You're listening to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial on North Shore 104.9.